Mark, we going to get going or what? I've been sitting here for a half hour. Come on.
Bob.
It's supposed to be the best show on TV. Let's get rolling.
Bob, relax.
Larry, what? Come on. You got a guy in the background. He's sitting there fiddling with himself.
Bob,
Come on.
Bob, this is stories, wisdom, and recipes, man.
I've been sitting here for a half hour. You're wasting my time.
It's
I got
part
to
of
get
the
to...
artistic. It's part of the artistic process.
All right.
We're giving you exposure, man. Relax, or I'll kick
Yo,
you. I'll kick
Mark.
You want this
Am
opportunity?
I mic'd or what?
Do you want this opportunity
Look,
or not?
I'm starting to get PO'd
Do you
now,
want this
Larry.
opportunity or not?
What? For
Do
what?
you realize who you're talking to? This is stories, wisdom, and
I
recipes,
don't care
man.
who I'm talking to. You've been sitting here. You told me to be here at 5 o'clock. It's what, 6?
If you don't like
Larry,
it, you can go. If you don't like it, you can go. I'll find
you
somebody
wasted
else.
my time.
I'll find somebody
Go ahead,
else.
find
Who the hell do
somebody.
you think you are? God almighty. I like community theater better than
Have a
professional
cup,
theater. Yeah,
will
right. Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, way to go, Mark.
The tape was rolling on that, but
Don't even tell me.
we can edit that out, I guess.
What did I say?
What? Would someone please try to find him? Would someone please try to find him? What the hell are we going to do? We have the hour booked. We'll get the... Welcome to Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. I'm Lawrence Pugliese. Nice to have you with us. On today's program, we have Bob Schlesinger, Marco Marcinko, and Doug Smith. We're going to talk about the arts. We're going to talk about economics. We're going to talk about politics a little bit, maybe, and how art affects all of those very important aspects of a city, of a human experience. Before we get started, I have a little poem to share with you. And then we're going to hear a song performed by Marco and Doug, so please stay tuned. I'll paint you a wondrous picture and sing for you a soulful aria for life. And my fellow human said, vote for me and I will serve you. Serve me in this way now and I will serve you when I'm in power. Let's make a deal. An honest deal based on intelligent dialogue and analysis. Continual communication, of course. Trust, shared vision. Does a loved one need a job? No. I slipped for a second. It's about jobs, paved streets, a good quality of life, community pride, and a stable infrastructure that is egalitarian as well as utilitarian. Give me your vote, your power of choice, and your freedom of personal decision. Let it not be selfish. Let it be wise and honest, thinking of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I'll paint you a wondrous picture, and I'll sing for you a soulful aria for life. Thank you. And now, Doug and Marco with a standard tune entitled Softly as a Morning Sunrise. Yeah. Softly as a Morning Sunrise, as performed by Doug Smith and Marco Marcinko here on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. I bet you thought Marco Marcinko, doesn't he play drums? Well, he plays a lot of things. Some things we can't even mention on TV. Yeah, thank you very much. And we have here at the table Mr. Bob Schlesinger, a very good friend of mine. I respect him very much for all the work he does in the community. And I'm sure you've seen his face, heard his name before. He was on the OK Patio show earlier in the year in my backyard. And he's here once again to talk to us about some pretty interesting, heavy topics. Yeah, right there?
Get this mic on, you know?
Oh, man.
I apologize for my antics earlier. But I'm starting
No,
to get
no,
along.
I didn't
No,
know.
oh,
Don't worry.
okay.
Never mind. All right. Okay. Yeah. You got it?
I think so. I think I do. We wasting time here?
Yeah, we're a little bit. But that's all right. This is performance art.
That's about, somebody should have done this for me earlier.
Soon someone get the ketchup and
The
squirt it.
professionals.
There you go. There you go. How's that? Does
Larry,
that sound
appreciate
good,
it
Mark?
very much.
Okay. Thank
Here
you
we
very
go.
much. Bob
God
Schlesinger.
bless all of you.
That was a performance art piece called Nincompoop Pudding on Mike.
It's not bad either.
No. The
And where are those guys from?
Those two-
Scranton?
Yeah. One's from, I think, up the line, actually. And
I
the
didn't
other
think
one's-
they could be that good in Scranton.
And this is sarcasm. This is sarcasm. This is one of the
No.
things we want to talk about. The
No, it's the
mentality.
beauty of the whole thing is I love those guys.
And,
They're great, and if they're from Scranton, I'm thrilled.
And-
Oh, wait a minute, Marco's not from Scranton.
Marco's from up the line.
Is he?
And Doug is from the Pocono area.
Oh, that's
Doug's
too
from
bad.
Newfoundland.
It's even worse.
And I think Marco's from, like, he went to Valley View, so Peckville or Blakely or
How could they have gotten
Archbald.
that good from
Archbald.
growing up here?
Well, you
got
tell me.
me.
You tell me.
I didn't grow up here. I
Is
came
that a
up here.
prevailing attitude here about
I think
artists?
so. I think so.
That we're second class just by association?
We just can't do it, boys. We're just not any good at it. You know, we got to bring it on from outside. Yank him in from outside. Tell him Marco's from Shikshinny. You know, he's done. He's great.
He's got to
We'll
be from
welcome
New York
right in the
City or
community.
something. He's got to be from Philly for people to respect him.
But nonetheless, all seriousness aside, I'm thrilled that we get an opportunity to present them at various times during the year.
Me too. Me too. I think
And,
they're wonderful.
Great thing is that they bring all these other musicians from out of town, like Harrisburg and Allentown,
Troop.
and Philadelphia, and Troop.
Can I ask you a question outside of this?
Certainly.
Okay. First of all, to get it started, we're going to get to where you're going. Your role in NEP's, so there you have
Yes.
it. Your
Yes,
role
Larry.
in NEPA's art world
And
is what? Yeah, for people that don't know who you are.
I am a producer in the theatrical wars of northeastern Pennsylvania, specifically with the Scranton Public Theater and the Jason Miller Summer Theater Festival, and I've worked on the Jazz Festival that happened this summer at Hamlin's
Yes,
Grove.
yep.
And I'm working with various entities throughout the area to encourage the professional development of the arts here, Larry, in northeastern PA.
And
Or is it Lawrence? Is it Lawrence?
On air, I prefer Lawrence. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we talk-
Robert, you can call me.
I think you're doing that on purpose, just to kind of. Well, no, I don't want to have another episode.
I don't want to go back to
No,
where we came
no.
from.
Okay, let's just try to be serious. All right, let's get this over with. It's a couple more.
Sorry, Mark.
All right, the economy of the art world, right? What is it? Can you explain that to me? The economy of the art world.
Well, we don't have enough money. Let's put it that way.
When you say we, you mean the theater groups?
When I say we, I say the theater, I say the symphonies, I say the musicians, I say all the visual artists, that we need to develop more funding sources for Northeastern PA. After all, we are the third largest media market in the entire state of Pennsylvania.
True.
We need to find more ticket buyers because the product that we're producing is good and hopefully at times is great. And, overall, it creates an atmosphere of professionalism that we want to pass on to the generations coming up so they have something to shoot for.
Right.
Especially kids in our grammar schools and our high schools.
Well-
So maybe we'll keep some of them around. The best of the musicians may leave to find their fame and fortune otherwise, but they might always want to come back to their roots
Well, do you think there is?
and encourage the young to develop their talents.
Well, and you have to do stuff like that's what Doug does. That's what Marco does. That's what you do. Mike Draper through the Children's Theater.
Absolutely.
Many artists that commit themselves to sharing the love and the knowledge they have for the art, so that as time goes on, this place continues to have a vibrancy in the art world. But I want to ask you this: is there enough money to go around to all the different factions of our art community? Does it get cutthroat at points? Does a cutthroat mentality develop between different theater groups or different
Well, I
cultural
think,
groups
Larry, what
trying
we
to
have
get the
to
government aid or
well, I think
what
we have
you,
to
the
do
ticket
there is first of all
sales?
separate the professionals from the amateurs, because from the professional point of view, we're in a situation where we want to set standards.
Right.
And in setting standards, we have a scenario where hopefully we'll have aspiring artists and that kind of thing. And as far as money is concerned, we can never not have enough money. Money is what allows new playwrights to develop their works. I mean, I've never worked with a new script in my lifetime where it didn't need work. I think the musicians would agree with me that they just don't to develop a new song or a new instrumental or a new symphony without going back to the drawing board a number of times. And in order to do that, you need to have money. Somebody asked me one time from one of the arts agencies, not from here, from a state arts agency, what was your goal for the Scranton Public Theater? And I said, well, eventually we'd like to put a play on Broadway. And they nearly fell off their chair laughing and snickering.
Because it's from
I think it was because it was too high a goal to set for yourself. But the thing is that Jason Miller developed a play here from West Scranton about northeastern Pennsylvania.
That championship season.
That ended up all over the United States and Europe and everywhere. So to say that we can't develop people here who can sell their works elsewhere is a folly. And I think we need to continually encourage the professional development of the arts here. It just gives all those aspiring actors something to shoot for. And hopefully people that they want to become, that they see making their mark in the music world or the theater world or the art world.
Well, I agree with you. I think we definitely have to encourage it. But is the money, through us, financial support. Now, when you look at a couple different ways, one is people supporting by buying tickets, right? Is there enough money in people's pockets around here to go to see a play?
That's the whole idea of regionalization.
Okay.
Because now it costs $100 a ticket to see a show on Broadway. That means if we're going to go from here to New York, we're not only going to spend $100 per ticket, so that's $200 on a date or with your wife, but we're also going to spend a lot of money on restaurants, the travel to get there, and everybody knows that gas is at a high premium right now. So the whole idea of the regionalization, the professional regionalization of the northeastern Pennsylvania is to create scenarios to keep the prices within within the proper framework.
Right.
so that
Given
we
the
can make
demographics and
really good theater, really good music affordable to the masses, not to the elitists, or people who have money. And I shouldn't say elitist, not to those who have money.
who are viewed as elitists, but maybe not necessarily
They can
are.
afford it.
Right.
But we want to make it available to the common man. Shakespeare wrote for the common man.
So did Mozart, right?
The whole idea of throwing tomatoes, was developed by Shakespeare so that if the play wasn't any good,
He knew it.
he said to the commoners, throw the tomatoes, and that way you'll let us know if we're
Right.
any good. So we need to challenge ourselves as musicians.
Are you willing to
as-
give tomatoes to the audience members of future
It's a little
productions?
messy. I don't want to clean up about it. I don't want to clean up that stuff.
I was hoping I'd get that kind of commitment.
But the
here.
regionalization process,
And it seems also you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with having funding and support and people who have the will and the talent to stay here, to be dispersed here in northeastern Pennsylvania. That's one challenge. The other challenge is creating a perception in the mindset of those possible patrons that this is good stuff. This is comparable to any production you would see in a big city.
Well-
so that they're willing to spend the $30 instead of the $100.
Larry, that is the challenge that we issue to all the actors, to all the musicians, that they have to maintain the level of quality that they're doing. So they have to challenge themselves.
Right.
They have to want to continue to get better. The actors have to want to continue to get better. And it's only going to make everybody here in northeastern Pennsylvania better. And I truly believe in that we are now in the process of the regionalization of northeastern Pennsylvania, and that that more and more people from like New Jersey, New York, who are finding New York crowded, who are finding New Jersey very crowded to live in, they're moving here, and they're going to demand a certain amount of product, a certain quality of product that they saw when they were living in New York.
Do you think they're going to come in maybe with an attitude, and this is a generalization, but just for a point of discussion, with an attitude that this is Scranton, they'll never produce anything like New York, and just not even give it a chance?
Well, I would hope not, and I would like to say that actions speak louder than words. So if they take the chance to go see one of our shows, or go chance to see our jazz festival that was developed last summer up in Hanlan's Grove,
Or
they're
local
gonna
rock and roll bands.
local
that, in
rock
my
and roll
view, are
bands,
incredible.
fabulous, and therefore we won't have to create that air of that everybody outside the region. We were kidding earlier about that.
Well, with sarcasm, that was
yeah.
satire.
But that everybody outside the region is better than we are. I truly don't believe that at all. Everybody I've worked with who have had any type of professional experience don't believe that.
And don't you think it's
so-
an irrational comparison to make between New York City and any other city?
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. I come from the D.C. area. I don't find human beings in D.C. any better than the human beings in Scranton or Wilkes-Barre
Right.
or the Poconos. I find them having the same problems that we have: food, clothing, shelter. I have the same problems that they have interacting with people. So the bottom line is that the human nature is really no difference. If I could speak Chinese and walked into China right now, I'm sure that I would find the similar problems facing the Chinese
Right.
as human beings. So, it's not a question of, it's just a question of belief.
Okay.
Can we be better? Are we underestimating ourselves? I've always thought to myself that we don't know how good we have it up here.
Well, I think in Scranton and northeastern Pennsylvania, I'm a native son of this area. Although there are many, many great aspects of the culture here, generally speaking, and of the people here, generally speaking. One of the negative aspects that I've noticed in myself and others who were born and raised here is we do have low self-esteem about our community.
Mm-hmm.
We do think we're second class. We do tend to look at things somewhat
Not in
negatively.
sports, though, Larry.
Not
in sports.
Yeah,
And that's we had the 100 greatest sports people.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we are capable of bragging about how good our athletes are. But I haven't heard anything about how great our doctors are, how great
educators,
our
our lawyers,
musicians
our
are,
musicians,
lawyers, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, from the athletic point of view, we don't have that. But from an arts point of view, we need to improve that.
Yes, you mean the attitude toward the arts.
I remember when I first came up here, I'm dating myself now, but when the Scranton Public Theater first started in 1978, I went to a prominent arts advocate, and I asked them, now that we've started a theater, what would you suggest that I do? And the person had come up to me and said, your production of Witness for the Prosecution was unbelievably great for an amateur show.
It's always put in that context.
And I went, well, what would you suggest we do? And she said, go to New York. And I went, what?
Why would you want me to leave here?
I'm not going to go to New York. I came up here.
I'll give it to Scranton.
I want to bring New York to us. And you know what? Jason Miller showed up, and before you know it, New York started coming to us, and then films were made here. And so, in a lot of respects, we have brought New York to us without having to leave. And so, a lot
of it is attitude.
It's all attitude, Larry.
Well, you got to have something to back up the attitude. You have to have substance, and we do.
And I believe, I do believe in the homegrown musicians here who are outstanding. Some of the actors that are naturals here that have just grown up, and some of them are capable of playing anywhere in the country. And as long as we keep pounding that attitude, positive attitude, well, then we will strengthen ourselves as a community. Because it's just so important right now. And I see the whole process across the country happening, that the regionalization process is here to stay no matter where you're living. And we are going to make sure that our region holds itself high in self-esteem.
Now, when you say regionalization, you're talking about connecting the more rural communities and smaller boroughs through Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Hazleton.
The whole thing.
Is that the way we're going to regionalize ourselves?
The whole process. It's stick together.
Yeah.
We stick together. All for one,
feed
one for all.
into each other's ideas.
Yeah, and then so when people want to move in here, they're looking forward to it. It's not an escape for New York, but an exodus to Scranton.
Beautiful.
That's where it's happening.
I like that attitude. People that might think that that's delusional or crazy.
I've been told
Why?
since '78 that I'm delusional. So I'm used to being told.
Doug is
go
cracking up back
I've been
there.
used to told to
Marco,
go get a real job.
They're all cracking up. Doug, Mark McGlory. They're like, yeah.
Get a real job, Bob. And I'll go, well, I can't do anything else, so I got to do this.
Well, I think your attitude
Got to raise money.
is right.
Got to raise more money, folks. I'll be coming after you. Get your pocketbooks open.
Well, how important? We're saying that we could do it, we should do it, we could do whatever we like if we work hard enough and believe in ourselves and all of that. I don't want to get too self-helpy, but attitude is important. You do have to believe in your community and what it has to offer, and you have to support it. But why should we? How important, is my next question, are the arts to a community, in your view?
Well,
why should we give a darn?
Okay, you go to New York City, for example, and that's the mecca of the arts, let's just say.
That's why I was saying it's irrational to compare yourself to New York City.
But you go to New York City and you come off the Lincoln Tunnel, what's the first thing you see? Is theater district this way.
Right.
Go down to D.C., Kennedy Center that way. They're not telling you the Bureau of Justice is over here, the FBI building's down here. There's none of those signs. It's all artistic signs telling people this is the reflection of our community.
First thing we want you to show you is that we have culture, we have art.
It's an absolute to the desire for human beings to be entertained is right behind food, clothing, and shelter, as far as I'm concerned.
What about sex?
Well, that's a private thing.
Okay.
That's a private thing, unless you want to expose, well, I'm not going to do that. But
Marco's mother shut off the TV, I'm sorry.
But sex is a whole different ballgame, but that's done behind closed doors, and if we want to peer into their...
No, I was just making a comment. We don't have to go any further. Stop, please.
I don't know where you're going with this, but my
well, you're saying
gracious.
the basic needs of human beings, right? Food, clothing, shelter, the arts.
Entertainment and sex.
Well,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I've already been criticized by some of the Christians in our community. I think this is just going to add fuel
Criticism
to the
is a good thing as long as it's constructive and not destructive.
Well, this is entertainment right now. We're reflecting.
And I'm going to walk off your set again, Larry. You're starting.
Please,
I'm
please,
hearing
please.
Mark talking in the back there.
Please.
I can't get a word in edgewise. He's
little
sitting
more
here
whiskey,
talking like
a
crazy.
little
These
more
guys want
whiskey.
to play.
A little more whiskey.
Come on.
Please calm him down.
Come on. I got a lot to say here, folks. You better listen to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Now,
very much.
Mark's throwing stuff at me now.
Bob Schlesinger here on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. It's good to have him here. We have Marco and Doug sitting to my left.
I love you, Larry.
I love you too, Bob.
But I'm not in that way, Larry.
Oh my God. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. Just don't get any come to any conclusions.
Can I segue to these guys now?
Who? These
Yeah,
guys from
these
Northeast PA?
Speaking of great artists that this area has produced and are respected, not just in northeastern Pennsylvania, but throughout the country. And that could be proven by the great support we had from internationally acclaimed musicians during our jazz festival, Scranton Jazz Festival this summer. And I think we'll let those two individuals that are about to play for you talk about that more in a moment. Again, Doug Smith and Marco Marcinko here on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes, playing an original composition by Marco, kind of timely, called The New Orleans Blues. Make their way to the table. They being Doug Smith and Marco Marcinko. Marco Marcinko. I like saying that name, Marco. That's his real name, too. We're going to be looking at a painting that is presently getting prepared for a show in London, February. This painting will be showcased. It's called Ambitions and New Plans by Jules D. Ballancourt. And again, this is a photograph of that painting. It will be exhibited at the Saatchi Gallery in London throughout February. So if you happen to be in London, go to the Saatchi and you can see this piece right in front of you. Real life, real time. Thank you for watching Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. And I think we're back here at the table. Gentlemen, how's it going, Marco?
Lawrence, good to see you
Nice
again.
seeing you,
And
too.
thank you for having us on your show.
Doug, it's a
Larry?
pleasure. You kidding me?
One of the finest shows on Channel 61, I must say.
Thank you very much.
And we truly appreciate the honor of being here and the beautiful set, the things that you've done.
Matt Bonowitz. Matt Bonowitz.
Great.
Gorgeous.
Elephant, I believe.
From Oliphant, another local artist.
Yeah. Born and raised.
I don't know.
Very talented, man.
How do you feel about that, Bob?
Doing
I
good.
noticed during the
I'm
course of
telling
the
you,
show some animosity.
I'm not very comfortable sitting here with you guys, to tell you the truth.
Oh, is ever well?
You know, and the problem is I just can't get out of here.
Please, guys.
I'm caught in.
Please,
I-
please, guys,
you know,
please. I'm
I
in
can
charge.
understand how you feel.
I'm in charge
You
here.
know, I mean, I got, what are you, Archibald or
Yeah,
Archibald?
Archibald,
Is it
Archibald.
Archibald or Archibald?
There's no I.
No I, it's Archbald, and I believe Doug is from Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Yeah, not Newfoundland.
Not
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, that's right. And
And I just want to apologize.
They're still looking out there, too.
Would it be proper for me to apologize that we are artists from the northeastern Pennsylvania area?
if you want to
Should we
play
apologize
into
for
that
that?
satire we were going with earlier, that sarcasm, yeah, you should apologize.
Doug, I
But it's
apologize
sarcasm.
for
Didn't you guys
and I
just
hope
play
you would
on-
apologize
Did
for
you
me.
play on
I
the
apologize,
West Coast recently in the Detroit Jazz Festival?
Don't get me started.
Did you play out there? I know you did.
Yeah, I was recently out there.
See, he can play with any musician. Doug can play
There's
with
no
any
doubt.
musician in the
Well, the
country.
Jazz Fest we had this summer, I think, proved that. We had local musicians,
These two guys.
as well as Mr. Marino. right?
Tony
We
Marino.
had,
yes.
we had about 12 local.
Clarence
We had
Beatty.
well, we had
10 or
we
12.
Clarence Spady.
basically what happened with the jazz festival this past summer was the first weekend of August. We integrated our local talent. We had over a dozen local great jazz musicians, and we integrated them with some of the region's best. John Coates Jr. for one.
Out of
Dave Liebman.
Delaware Water Gap?
Delaware Water Gap area, yes. From the Allentown area, Gary Rissmiller and his great quartet with Craig Kostelnik on organ. And we even had Alona Knopfler from Paris, France join us, and Eddie Severn from Manchester, England, join us on trumpet.
And when you had these internationally acclaimed artists alongside native-born and bred artists, was there a big disparity in levels of musicianship?
No, there's no disparity because when you have well-trained artists, musicians, actors, just like you have well-trained doctors, lawyers, sports athletes, everyone could play and get along and do the job at task. Doesn't matter where you live to do that. You can live right here in Scranton, PA.
It's actually
fine.
a smart move.
Which
It's
is
a smart
great
move.
place to
It's
live.
a great place to live. That's right. That's why we live here.
And you can bounce, you can do your thing here, foster the fledgling
Yeah.
jazz scene, as both of you do, and get kind of a kick out of that, a sense of accomplishment. And then you can always bolt out to New York or Philly or whatever, short ride,
Well,
and
it's-
play another gig there, and
What's
come
am-
back to your home.
What's amazing, I'm going to quote a local musician, Jim Buckley, told me this a while ago. Hi, Jim, if you're watching. He said, everyone's got to live somewhere.
Right.
You know, so you tell me why I should go and dig into my pockets and pay the rent in New York or Philly when I could dig into my pockets and put it back into this community.
Right, and you have friends and family right here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we're seeing a lot of people like Eddie Severn that Marco mentioned, and a lot of folks that are moving out of the city and moving away from even the New Jersey area that's close to the city to this area, the Poconos and
yeah.
even Scranton.
Good
beautiful.
quality of
Because
life.
it's right, it's a great quality of life.
And
There's-
that's what they're interested in.
right? And
what's wrong with
actually,
that?
they're finding there's more work. I mean, Marco travels a lot nationally, but there's actually more work probably in the Northeast in general than there is right in New York City.
Absolutely.
Just for gigging and doing regular jazz
Now,
gigs.
this is all a good backdrop to the next question I have.
Yes.
We talked about the Jazz Fest, and these three gentlemen, and I helped a bit myself, Scranton Jazz
you
Fest.
helped a
No,
lot.
you did a great job. man.
Well, everybody, it was a very communist sort of
Lawrence.
setup. We were no leaders, just a bunch of hardworking people,
Yes.
right? But anyhow, that showed me, and I knew it already, that our artists are as good as any artist anywhere else. Now, I want to go to another question. Why is it important? I asked this of Bob, but I want to be more specific. Why is it important economically and for a good way of life that the arts be supported, the arts be nurtured in a community? Economically speaking, why is it important? that the arts are a predominant part of a community, a healthy part of a community, and for a good way of life? Why is it important that the arts are
Well,
predominant?
it's like the chicken and the egg thing. One of the main reasons is in order to become and continue to be and improve, becoming, as Bob mentioned earlier, a better artist, which all of us are striving for, and to raise the level of your artistic ability and technical ability. You want to be able to, thank God we are all sitting at this table making a living in the arts, and I feel very fortunate. I mean, there are some people that are very talented that are not doing their art form full time. But to answer your question, I mean, the money has to roll back to the artists for them to be able to do what they do full time, to enrich themselves and improve themselves. Then you're going to have the level of artists to which we're all aspiring.
Okay, that's from the artist's perspective.
Well, I mean, from society's point of view, what they're getting back from putting that money in are world-class artists.
You can't have a great society anywhere in the world. You cannot have a great society without the infusion of arts being a part of the system. It's like, you have to be able to read and write. You got to know basic math. You should know a little something about the arts. You got to know how to catch a baseball, throw a football, something like this, And the arts falls right in there because it allows human beings, it allows a certain amount of passion and emotion to be expressed, sensitivity, things of this nature. It could be a whole genre of emotions expressed in the art form, whether it be painting or theater or music. And Bob earlier in the show was attesting to a lot of this stuff, and especially for economic reasons. Why is it that major metropolitan areas have these performing arts centers? Why is it that Wachovia comes here, and besides having the Penguins play, the hockey team, we have all these concerts at Wachovia Arena? Why do we have these concerts up at Montage Mountain at the Ford Pavilion? Why the Scranton Cultural Center? Why the Kirby Center? I mean, this has to be part of the system. You open up the local paper and you'll see concert listings left and right, besides just the local bands playing in particular venues, happening right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Any city that you go to, I was just in Schenectady, New York last weekend. I opened up the local paper, bam, same kind of listings. Any metropolitan area you go to.
People don't want to live in a community where they open the paper and there's nothing to do.
And if I could say something what just Marco just said. You go to New York and you look at New York, they're not promoting their community theaters. They're promoting their professional theaters.
Right.
They're promoting their professional arts because that creates jobs for those artists.
That's right.
It creates money being reinvested back into the community. And that's what we need for a healthy economy, is for the money to be reinvested back into the community. So, it's all part
do you
of that.
find
And
community theater as being a competitor against
Not at
professional?
all.
Wait,
Not at all.
I want to jump on that because I was just going to say that. Not that with the community theater, just as important. It's part of the system.
It's a feeder?
It's a feeder, absolutely, for it to go to a professional level. It must go to a professional level. If it doesn't ever acquire the professional level, and this is in musicianship as well, professional bands, what have you, what's there to aspire to?
And what if how would you deal, we talked about it earlier, the mindset, well, it is northeastern Pennsylvania.
Right.
You're not going to get a level that's that accomplished or that respectable or worth really supporting.
We got to get past that now, Larry. Get right past
Why do we have to
that.
get past that? Why is it important for our
Because
community
we
to
are
get
a
past that?
direct suburb now of New York City.
Absolutely.
We are a direct suburb of Philadelphia. We have people driving 2 hours, 5 days a week, out to the city, working a job there, and driving back here and living in this community. We are becoming a sister to these great metropolitan areas. And
Yeah.
you can't have two greater East Coast metropolitan areas
Philly,
than
New
New York City and Philadelphia.
No. And I would like to say, though, when you say the word suburb, I don't like to be thought of as a suburb of those cities, although it might be a reality in some regard. I think the arts, though, can help us keep true and connected to our own identity as a region, our own history.
Yeah, but the
if we
arts
don't have
also-
the arts writing plays and putting out music and communicating who we are, we might lose our identity to
The
those-
arts puts us at the same level as those cities.
Right, right,
We have
exactly.
the great artists coming here, living here, residing here, performing here. That puts us at an equal standing with those cities. Therefore, the bar has to be raised. We have to be at a certain level.
Standards. We're setting standards.
So it's about getting good jobs here. It's about having good performances and productions here in all venues of the art world. Having safe streets, of course, and good school systems. It's all part of the system, you're saying, the arts. It's all part of the system.
It's part of show business.
And you were saying chicken and the egg. You know, the arts, were you implying brings in companies? If
Well,
you have a good artistic community, bring in a company that might offer
Well,
a
what
lot
I
of
meant
jobs? Or?
when we were talking about that a little while ago, really what I meant is kind of you want artists at a high level, but they aren't going to get there without starting, as you said, starting somewhere at a lower level and working their way up. And if the money is reinvested into the arts, it's going to push them up to that higher level.
And
That's,
do you think
know,
that would,
you know.
okay, that makes total sense.
And to go back to what you guys were just talking about, I've found, and I know you have found, that, because we've talked about this, that a lot of the musicians that we bring in here to play with us, maybe not even for the festival, just for gigs and things, they'll say, wow, you guys really have a lot of things going on here. There's really a lot of talented people in this area. This area does have a pretty good reputation
Remarkable.
for I'd say per capita, very talented people in not just music, but
The CEOs that come out of here.
that does have a
amazing.
And that's good for
Yeah.
the sort of.
We just need to
ambiance we
educate. Education is a big part of this too, and that's a whole entire other show. So we could just
So
touch
can we come
upon
back
it
next week,
briefly.
Larry?
Yeah, for the next 3
We could talk
episodes,
about
we'll
this
have these
subject for
guys.
an entire week and just
Stories
not
with
even
the
get
rest
to the tip of the iceberg on it. But I was going to
just-
say education is such a big part of it. It needs to be part of our school systems, the education of the arts.
The football team, the music department. The
It's-
music department.
See, the way I see it is there should be no difference. You
They
want your
shouldn't-
kid to have good good phys ed and good athletic program in his or her school system, whether it be private or public, so be it. You're well deserving of that. You should also be well deserving of having great science, art, literature, everything, mathematics.
But don't you think? I mean, I'm not. I don't think I'm off base saying that. Oftentimes, if there is a choice between an artistic program at a school and an athletic program, the artistic program gets the axe.
Right, because our culture, and not just northeastern Pennsylvania,
It's
but
the United
it's
States.
the United States. It's not so much in Europe, definitely not in Japan. We look at it as chewing gum. Tastes great for the time being, but then eventually you spit it out.
It's not that important.
Right? The arts. How important could it be? Yet everyone wants to be on American Idol.
But that's because of fame, not because
Well,
of substance.
look at- look
or
at-
sustenance.
There's a way of getting to fame. Our most famous people are trained, schooled professionals, actors, musicians, even the
Yeah.
athletes. They're trained and
Oh,
schooled
I love
in
sports.
athletics.
I'm not saying that we should.
I'm
we're
a great
bashing
sports fan.
I love
I like
sports.
to call it the Sparts. Maybe we'd get further. You know?
I
But
thought
that's sports and Sparts.
Yeah, he's telling
Not
us-
F, but it's sports and
Sparts.
Sparts.
No, I don't want to work Sparts. No.
But this is important. This is important to say.
It is.
Bob makes
Get your hand off
he
me,
makes
will
a he makes a valuable point. He makes a valuable point. It's equal. The arts, athletics, all of it is equal.
Mathematics,
It's
literature.
equal.
But I
Well,
think
it is.
I think Marco you guys just brought up a good point when you mentioned what's the television show you just
American
mentioned?
Idol.
Yeah,
American Idol.
the sports are extremely important
Absolutely.
in a person's. But I think this fixation with winning and with being the top, the best, and
Right.
everything, that's the part that's not quite in phase. It's analogous to the American Idol.
Right.
The arts should be more a depth, more of a sincere, honest expression of what you're doing.
Yes.
And training the people to be better people. Not just to get on American Idol or not just to win the title. I mean, of
Right.
course, that's great and it's fun, but I think there's coaches like Joe Paterno that work with the whole person, and they're not just trying to put somebody,
Right.
on. It's looking at the whole person.
Win, lose, or draw.
That's
It's
important.
a team effort,
Right.
and what do we get
well put.
afterwards out of it? And a team has to work together to win a game, just like a band has to work together.
A play
to
is
win a
all
game.
about team.
Teamwork. a
Okay, I'm
play,
going to go off
absolutely.
onto something else. We have maybe 7 minutes or so. Well put. I think we really hit on some interesting insights and made some good points. Thank you for that, gentlemen. We're going to have you on again. But here's another question. Your favorite artistic experience and why? Doug, you want to start?
Probably the really tiny things that happen. You know, we do programs in the schools, and sometimes there'll be kids in kindergarten, first grade that have heard something live for the very first time, or they get to touch the bass, you know, or they hear that sound. It's those little things where, I mean, when you really see a child open up, and it's an amazing thing that the first time that they really get it, like the music and the connection and everything. I mean, we've also played before thousands of people, and it's really fun, and you get a rush and all that. But I think it's the smaller things, to me, where you really touch people individually, that are more meaningful, you know? Yep.
Thanks.
You're asking me?
Whomever wants to chime in, your favorite artistic experience and
I
why?
hate the arts. No.
You're just in it for the money.
Well,
Yeah.
now I am, but no, you know, all seriousness aside.
I guess Bob's going to go.
I mean, Marco, do you want to? Am I
No,
offending you
I,
if I go?
I like your
if I
sweater,
skip?
so you should go
Thank you.
first.
Just don't touch it.
Thank you. No, I think Doug's made the point. You know, it are the little things. Is there any one thing that the Scranton Public Theater's done? One thing we did do that was exciting, we went down to Philadelphia in 1991 in our production of Inherit the Wind, which we had Malachi McCourt and Jason Miller starring in. But that play was voted by the Philadelphia Drama Critics as the best play of the year for 1991.
Impressive.
So, but all we wanted to prove with that, basically with that production, was to the people up here that we could go into other communities and win from the point of view that we were accepted in other communities. And so yeah, that was a individual experience that was wonderful. But really it is the looks on the people's faces, the pride you take in your work, the desire to constantly be better. That, you know, once you start, and with an air of humility about it, you know, because you can always be better. So yeah, I mean, as far as artistic experiences of them, there's been hundreds. But all of them really add up to the little nuances that that are created just by being in the ball game, so to speak.
For me, I like, I mean, my answer should be I have not yet had that great experience. That should be all of our answers in some
That's a great
way, shape, or form. But I will say I truly enjoy when the music or the artistic thing that I put forward touches someone in the respect that it makes them think a little bit or brings them closer to the music that I'm putting out that I love. And in the case of jazz in northeastern Pennsylvania, so many of us work very hard to communicate that music. And that's our American classical music, and we need to communicate that to our society. And so when we break down a wall here, there, and wherever to communicate that a little bit more to the average person, it's a really great feeling. And it's happening
That
a
kind
lot.
of connection.
Yeah.
We're in the entertainment business. We want people to have a good time, to be entertained. And every ancillary thing that happens after that is just
Cherry on top.
That's it.
But
Frosting on the
more
cake.
so too, we want them to be entertained, and that's a strong component of it. But we also want them, and as an artist, we also want them to understand our passion, to feel what it is that we're giving to them, and for them to relate that little bit that they can to it. Because, you know, we work painstakingly very hard at our crafts. This is a craft. And we work very hard at perfecting the craft, taking lessons, studying in schools, performing, getting with other artists and conversing about it, doing a show like this and talking about it. We put in the hours. And when you meet someone on the street and they come up to you and they say, wow, I really enjoyed your performance or whatever, that's a touching sort of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, in other words, you know, what Marco's saying is gradually bringing more people into understanding an art form that they never even thought about.
You're
possibly,
getting them in touch with the artist and them in a way.
Yeah, both, right.
Which has
right.
got to be
Right.
fulfilling. I have, I'm going to probably get yelled at for this, but quick answers these have to be, all right? And then you two gentlemen can maybe go over to the performance set of our production here. First one, are politicians artists? Are they artistic? Since we're in a political
They're
season.
actors.
Depends on the politician. Yeah,
They're
I agree with
actors.
that.
They're actors. They have to be.
Have
A good
to be an
politician.
actor. Absolutely. We're all actors, Larry.
Yeah.
We're all actors. We're getting on here today. I put a tie on. Marco didn't, but so we're expressing
won't.
ourselves in various ways. But everybody's an actor. I tell all the kids that I work with in various in high school and college, every single day you get up and you put on a costume. And you go and you do your thing with that costume on. Tomorrow you put a different costume on. You might feel a little bit different about yourself. So every single day we're actors. And politicians have to be excellent actors. They're conveying messages.
actors
hopefully
aren't
they
negative.
believe their message.
Well, sometimes they have to lie, and an actor has to
but,
lie too. So
That's a little cynicism there, Mr.
An actor
Marcinko.
has
No,
to
it's
have
honesty.
people suspend their
We all lie.
disbelief.
Yeah.
They have to have people suspend their disbelief. And by doing that, hopefully they've created a great piece of art.
Beautiful.
Well, I think rather than the word actor, I think a good politician has to be a very good communicator. And I think they don't give the general public as much credit as they often deserve. Because there are certain politicians, not too many, unfortunately, that are good communicators and are very sincere people. There are other ones that are good communicators but also good actors. But I think the population does know the difference, and I think it can work either way. Of course, I would prefer the politician who is sincere and can communicate what he really feels.
it's amazing too to
The
see.
best actors are sincere.
It's great to see so many former actors or entertainers, people
Lonnie?
that were in the entertainment business, that draw a link to politics and actually do a pretty good job, especially on the communication end of things. They become very good politicians because you have
They've
to be
been-
on stage.
Right. They've been practicing for years.
You got to perform in front of the people. You got to
got-
communicate.
Another one, real quick. Does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? And then we're done. And then you guys have to play another tune for us.
I'll let Doug answer this. I got to get over.
Okay. Thank you, Marco Marcinko, for being on Stories, Wisdom, and Recipes. You're welcome.
I heard
soon.
I heard a great quote recently. I'm not sure to whom it is credited, but they said, "Art adds life to life," and I think it's not ambiguous. It's what makes this more, than. So that's as close as I can come to that.
I love
think.
it. I love it.
I concur.
And there you have it. Thank you, Doug Smith. Thank you, Bob Schlesinger.
It's a pleasure. Lawrence Pugliese. Pugliese.
There you go.
It's a good man.
You're watching
Mark, you did a good
Stories,
job,
Wisdom,
buddy.
and Recipes. Thank you for tuning in. And this show is before the election coming up next Tuesday, November 8th. And I don't have an endorsement because it's not my place, but I do have a candidate that I'm going to vote for. And I've done a lot of research. I've asked a lot of questions of this candidate and of myself. Who would be the best for my community? Not just for me, not just to get me a job or my cousin a job or because he's got the right ethnicity or from the right neighborhood. Who has the best vision and who goes along my philosophical line of thinking? And I'm going to vote, and I hope you're doing the same thing. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. Make sure it's for the right reasons, though, and make sure you vote. That's all I can say to you. I want to put that in before we say thank you for watching. And once again, we'll be back in 2 weeks. It'll be our Thanksgiving show, and we're going to have some fun there. Here's some more fun for you right now. Doug Smith and Marco Marcinko. Thank you.